Hello and welcome to Workers Comp Unwrapped, the podcast that simplifies workers' compensation for physicians. I'm your host, Max, here to give you clear, actionable insights to navigate the medical legal side of workers' comp. So let's get started. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 6 of Workers Comp Unwrapped with Max. Meet Aisha, who has 15 years of experience in the workers' comp industry. Today we are talking about why is it important to identify and correct issues with third-party billing reports?
It's a question every medical provider in California's workers' comp system should be asking. These reports are essentially a financial roadmap, showing you what you've billed, what's been paid, and what needs your attention. But when those reports are full of errors, it's like trying to follow a map with missing roads and wrong directions. You could easily end up lost and losing money.
That's a great analogy. So let's say a doctor is thinking, why even bother with a third-party billing company? Can't I just handle this myself? What would you say are the key advantages of outsourcing this often complex process?
Think of third-party billing companies like expert guides who know all the shortcuts and pitfalls in the workers' comp billing maze. They handle the codes, the paperwork, the ever-changing regulations, so you can focus on what you do best, providing excellent patient care. The problem is not all billing companies are created equal and errors can happen.
And that's where those reports come in, right? Helping us spot those errors before they turn into major headaches. You've seen it all when it comes to these reports. What are some of those red flags that immediately make you think, we need to investigate this further?
One of the most common and potentially costly issues is incomplete data. Imagine getting a report that's missing crucial details, like the actions taken on a claim or the actual status of the claim. It's like reading a sentence with missing words. You just can't grasp the full meaning.
So it's not just about whether a claim was paid or denied, but understanding the entire journey of that claim. What kind of consequences can arise from incomplete data in these reports?
Missing information can lead to missed deadlines, appeals falling through the cracks, and claims getting stuck in limbo. It's a domino effect that can ultimately delay payments and create a lot of unnecessary stress for providers.
And I'm guessing incorrect coding is another major culprit. I imagine even a small error can have a big impact on a provider's bottom line.
You're absolutely right. Even a single wrong CPT code can make a claim appear paid when it's actually been underpaid or even lead to denials. And let's not forget about the inconsistent formats and vague language some companies use, which just adds to the confusion pending, in process, under review. These terms might mean different things to different companies, making it difficult to track claims accurately.
So we've got incomplete data coding errors, confusing terminology. It's a recipe for financial frustration. But beyond the financial impact, are there any compliance risks associated with inconsistent or inaccurate billing reports?
Absolutely. California's Division of Workers' Compensation has strict documentation standards. If your reports aren't meeting those standards, you could be subject to audits or even penalties. It's a situation you definitely want to avoid.
Okay, I'm starting to feel a little anxious just thinking about all of this. Let's shift gears and talk about solutions. Where do we even begin to untangle this mess and get those billing reports back on track?
The first step is to establish a regular audit schedule. Think of it like a financial checkup for your billing process. At least quarterly compare those reports to your internal records. Are things lining up? Are there any red flags that jump out at you?
So it's like reconciling your bank statement, making sure every transaction matches up. But for billing reports, it sounds like we need to go beyond just comparing numbers.
Exactly. You want to make sure the reported actions and claim statuses align with your own documentation. And this is where technology can be a huge asset. Utilize analytics tools to spot patterns in those reports. Are certain claims consistently getting stuck? Are specific codes triggering a high number of denials? Finding those trends can help you pinpoint the root cause of those inconsistencies.
It's like being a billing detective looking for clues in those reports.
Yeah.
And I imagine clear communication with your billing company is crucial throughout this process.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to pick up the phone and ask for clarification on anything that seems vague or confusing. A strong, open line of communication can help prevent those misunderstandings and errors from snowballing.
So we've talked about identifying and correcting existing problems. But what about preventing those issues from happening in the first place? Any tips for building a stronger relationship with your billing company right from the start?
The foundation of any successful partnership is a clear, comprehensive contract. Make sure it spells out everything. The reporting standards, the frequency of reports, the specific data points you need, even the format you prefer for those reports. It's like setting the ground rules for a smooth and productive working relationship.
It's about creating a shared understanding of expectations and responsibilities. And I'm guessing technology plays a big role in this as well.
Absolutely. These days, there are systems that can integrate directly with your billing company's software, giving you real-time visibility into your claims. No more waiting weeks for a report that might be full of errors. You can track those claims, identify potential issues, and address them proactively.
That's a game changer for busy providers. So clear expectations from the start. Leverage technology for better visibility and maintain open communication throughout the relationship. These are great proactive strategies. But what about those providers who are already knee-deep in inconsistent reports? What concrete steps can they take to improve the situation?
First, don't panic. It's tempting to feel overwhelmed, but taking a systematic approach can help you regain control. Start with a thorough audit of your reports, focusing on identifying the specific problems you're encountering. Are you seeing patterns of missing information? Coding errors? Delayed reporting? Once you have a clear picture of the issues, you can start addressing them strategically. Exactly. You want to make sure the reported actions and claim statuses align with your own documentation, and this is where technology can be a huge asset. Utilize analytics tools to spot patterns in those reports. Are certain claims consistently getting stuck? Are specific codes triggering a high number of denials? Finding those trends can help you pinpoint the root cause of those inconsistencies.
It's like being a billing detective, looking for clues in those reports. And I imagine clear communication with your billing company is crucial throughout this process.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate to pick up the phone and ask for clarification on anything that seems vague or confusing. A strong, open line of communication can help prevent those misunderstandings and errors from snowballing.
So we've talked about identifying and correcting existing problems, but what about preventing those issues from happening in the first place? Any tips for building a stronger relationship with your billing company right from the start?
The foundation of any successful partnership is a clear, comprehensive contract. Make sure it spells out everything, the reporting standards, the frequency of reports, the specific data points you need, even the format you prefer for those reports. It's like setting the ground rules for a smooth and productive working relationship.
It's about creating a shared understanding of expectations and responsibilities. And I'm guessing technology plays a big role in this as well.
Absolutely. These days, there are systems that can integrate directly with your billing company's software, giving you real-time visibility into your claims. No more waiting weeks for a report that might be full of errors. You can track those claims, identify potential issues, and address them proactively.
That's a game changer for busy providers. So, clear expectations from the start. Leverage technology for better visibility and maintain open communication throughout the relationship. These are great proactive strategies. But what about those providers who are already knee-deep in inconsistent reports? What concrete steps can they take to improve the situation?
First, don't panic. It's tempting to feel overwhelmed. But taking a systematic approach can help you regain control. Start with a thorough audit of your reports, focusing on identifying the specific problems you're encountering. Are you seeing patterns of missing information? Coding errors, delayed reporting? Once you have a clear picture of the issues, you can start addressing them strategically.
So it's about taking that initial assessment, understanding the scope of the problem, and then developing a targeted plan of action. But what if you've tried everything and you're still hitting a brick wall? What if your billing company just isn't meeting your needs?
Well, sometimes you have to have those difficult conversations. If you've given them ample opportunity to improve and you're still facing persistent errors, delayed payments, or a lack of responsiveness, it might be time to consider switching to a new billing company.
That's a big decision. But I imagine it can be liberating to finally find a partner who understands your needs and can help you maximize your revenue. Speaking of maximizing revenue, let's talk about some key metrics that providers should be tracking to gauge the effectiveness of their billing process. What should we be paying close attention to?
One of the most important metrics is your report accuracy rate. This simply measures the percentage of reports that are free from errors or inconsistencies. The higher this number, the better. Another crucial metric is your denial resolution rate. This tells you how efficiently you're handling those denied claims. You want to see a high percentage of denials being successfully appealed or overturned.
So it's not just about avoiding denials altogether, but also having a system in place to address them effectively. What other metrics should be on our radar?
Timeliness is key. You want to track how often your billing company delivers reports on schedule. Late reports can disrupt your workflow, delay payments, and create a lot of unnecessary stress. A good benchmark is to aim for at least 90% of your reports arriving on time as specified in your contract.
So 9 out of 10 reports hitting that deadline. That seems like a reasonable target.
Yeah.
What about AR aging? I know this is an important concept, but can you break it down for us?
AR aging, or accounts receivable aging, categorizes your outstanding claims based on how long they've been unpaid. You might see categories like 0-30 days, 31-60 days, 61-90 days, and so on. It's like sorting your unpaid invoices into different buckets based on their age.
So it's a way to visualize how long those claims have been sitting out there, potentially impacting our cash flow. Which categories should we be most concerned about?
You want to keep a particularly close eye on those older buckets, especially those claims that are 90 days or older. These are the ones that are more likely to require additional effort to collect and could indicate underlying problems with your billing process.
It's like those overdue library books. The longer they're out, the more those late fees start to add up. So we've got 4 key metrics to track: report accuracy, denial resolution rate, timeliness of reports, and AR aging. These are like our vital signs for a healthy billing process. But let's get back to those providers who are struggling with their current billing companies. What practical steps can they take to try to improve the situation?
The first and most important step is to initiate an open and honest dialogue with your billing company. Schedule a meeting to discuss the specific issues you've identified, but be sure to frame the conversation in a constructive and solution-oriented way.
So it's about collaborating to find solutions, not just pointing fingers or placing blame, but how do we make sure those conversations are productive and lead to real change?
Come prepared with specific examples from your reports. Highlight the inconsistencies, the errors, the missing information. This helps your billing company understand the tangible impact of those errors and encourages them to take your concerns seriously.
It's about backing up your claims with evidence from those reports, showing them the real-world consequences of those inconsistencies. But it's a two-way street, right? We should also be open to hearing their perspective and understanding any challenges they might be facing.
Absolutely. It's about working together to find solutions that benefit both parties. Sometimes there might be simple explanations or process improvements that can resolve those issues quickly.
So open communication, a collaborative approach, and a willingness to understand both sides of the story. These are all crucial elements of a successful partnership. But what if, despite our best efforts, those problems persist? What if we're still not seeing the improvements we need?
Well, in those situations, you might need to take a closer look at your contract. Are there specific clauses you can add or modify to address those recurring issues? Can you introduce penalties for consistent errors or missed deadlines?
It's about putting those expectations in writing and establishing clear consequences for not meeting those standards. It's not about being punitive, but about holding everyone accountable for their part in the process.
Exactly. And don't forget about the power of technology. Are there ways to improve data sharing, automate certain tasks, or implement more robust quality control checks? Sometimes investing in a more integrated system can significantly reduce the risk of errors and streamline your entire billing workflow.
So explore technological solutions that can help streamline the process, reduce those manual errors, and improve overall efficiency. But at the end of the day, we have the power to choose our billing company. If we've exhausted all other options and we're still not seeing the results we need, it might be time to consider making a change.
You're absolutely right. It's a big decision, but sometimes it's necessary to protect your practice, your revenue, and your peace of mind. Finding the right billing partner can be a game changer for your practice.
Now, I know many providers are dealing with another complex aspect of workers' comp, liens. Can you demystify this concept for us? What exactly is a lien, and why do providers need to understand them?
A lien, pronounced lien, is essentially a legal claim that a medical provider places on a workers' comp case to ensure they receive payment for the services they've provided. It's a safety net that protects their financial interests, especially when there are disputes over payment or when a case is dragging on for an extended period.
So it's a way for providers to secure their right to payment, even if the case is still being resolved. Are there different types of liens that providers should be aware of?
Yes, there are. One common type is a medical lien, which is filed by a provider to claim reimbursement for the medical treatment they've already provided to an injured worker. It's essentially saying, we treated this patient and we're entitled to be paid for our services.
It's like an invoice, but with legal backing to ensure it gets paid. So if an injured worker comes to my practice for treatment and their claim is denied or delayed, I can file a medical lien to make sure I eventually receive payment.
Exactly. It secures your right to payment, even if the case is still being sorted out. Another type of lien you might encounter is a treatment lien.
I'm not familiar with that one. How is a treatment lien different from a medical lien?
A treatment lien is a bit more specific. It's filed by a provider to guarantee payment for future medical treatment that an injured worker needs. For instance, if a patient requires ongoing physical therapy or surgery related to their work injury, the provider can file a treatment lien to ensure they'll be compensated for those future services.
So it's like pre-approving payment for those necessary medical treatments. Interesting. But I imagine filing a lien isn't always a straightforward process, right?
You're right. There are specific procedures and deadlines you have to follow, and sometimes those liens can be challenged or disputed. That's why it's essential to understand the intricacies of the lien process and to work with experienced professionals who can guide you through it.
Welcome back to Workers Comp Unwrapped with Max. It's time for our Q&A segment with Asha, our workers' comp billing expert. We got some great questions from our listeners, so let's jump right in. Our first question comes from Dr. Smith, who asks, what's the biggest mistake you see providers making when it comes to managing their billing reports?
That's a common question and a great place to start. I'd say the most frequent mistake is simply not giving those reports the attention they deserve. It's easy to get swept up in the daily whirlwind of running a practice, but those reports are your financial pulse. They reveal how your practice is performing, where the revenue leaks are, and where you need to focus your energy. Ignoring them is like sailing a ship without checking the compass. You might be headed for stormy seas without realizing it.
So make those reports a priority, carve out dedicated time to review them. And don't just skim the surface. Dig deep, analyze the data, and look for those patterns and red flags that could be signaling trouble. Great advice. Our next question comes from Dr. Jones, who asks, my billing company seems to use a lot of jargon and technical terms in their reports. It's so confusing. Any tips for decoding all that language?
I understand, Dr. Jones. The workers' comp world is notorious for its alphabet soup of acronyms and technical terms. My advice is don't be shy about asking for clarification. Your billing company should be able to explain those terms in plain English and provide you with a glossary or key that defines all the abbreviations and codes they're using.
So if you don't understand something, speak up. There's no shame in seeking clarification. Knowledge is power, and you need to be able to understand those reports accurately to make informed decisions about your billing process. Our next question is from Dr. Lee, who's thinking about making a change. Dr. Lee asks, I'm considering switching to a new billing company. Any advice for finding the right fit for my practice?
That's a significant decision, Dr. Lee, and it's important to approach it strategically. First, get crystal clear on your specific needs and priorities. What are your pain points with your current billing company? What are your non-negotiables in a new partner? Once you have that clarity, do your research, ask colleagues for recommendations, and schedule consultations with a few different companies to get a feel for their approach.
So it's like shopping for any other vital service. Compare your options, ask the right questions, and trust your gut feeling about their expertise, communication style, and overall approach to billing.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to dig deeper. Ask about their technology, their security measures, their track record with denials and appeals. You want a partner who's going to be proactive, efficient, transparent, and truly invested in your success.
Those are great tips. Finding the right billing company can be a game changer for your practice, so it's worth investing the time and effort to find the perfect match for your needs. Our final question comes from Dr. Garcia, who's feeling a bit overwhelmed. Dr. Garcia asks, what's the one piece of advice you would give to providers who are feeling overwhelmed by the complexities of workers' comp billing?
My advice is to remember that you don't have to navigate this alone. There are resources available to support you every step of the way. From the wealth of information on the DWC website to professional organizations like CWCI and even experienced attorneys and billing consultants. Don't hesitate to reach out, build your network of trusted advisors, and tap into their expertise.
That's such an important reminder. It can feel like a daunting system, but with the right resources and support system, you can conquer those challenges and thrive. Well, Aisha, this has been an incredibly informative Q&A session. Thank you for generously sharing your insights and expertise with our listeners today.
My pleasure. I hope our conversation has provided some valuable takeaways for all our listeners who are working hard to navigate the intricacies of workers' comp billing.
Absolutely. And remember, we're here to help unravel the complexities of workers' comp. Be sure to check out our other episodes for more insights and practical tips. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and keep those billing reports in tip-top shape. Thank you for listening to Workers Comp Unwrapped. If you found value in today's episode, share it with your fellow medical providers and healthcare specialists. For more information, contact us at lena.klein@medicallienmgt.com or visit our website, medicallienmgt.com.